Hello. Hi, I'd like to introduce Las Charlas, also known as Table Talks. And today we have Tracy Durrells, who's here to talk to us about the small business focus. And a lot of businesses received the funding for COVID. And now what do we do as business owners? We received it. What are how do we use it? How do we get it forgiven? You know, she's here to talk to us about that. And I want to let you know a little bit about Tracy Durrells. She's an enrolled agent. She specializes in preparation of taxes, tax planning, deductions, and representation with the IRS. She's been doing representation to the IRS for 25 years. She's assists small businesses in setup and understanding business administration, accounting functions. Tracy, it's yours.
And just a little before Tracy starts, I kind of wanted to just make it, the reason for these charlas is to kind of get like everybody's ideas and resources together, because I know as a small business, it can kind of be tough. We just don't know where to get certain resources, or we just don't even know where to begin. That's why we created these charlas, so we can share innovative experiences with each other, and then just ask questions. That's why it's called Las Charlas, because if you have a question, pop on in Zoom, and you can feel free to ask a question or type it in the chat box and just let us know, like, what are some of the things that you want to know? That's why we're here. That's why we bought the expert, to answer your questions that is needed. Because I know there's some great questions. You all have received the COVID funding. Now you're like, okay, I received the funding. Now what do I do next? That's why we are hosting this charlas today, just to kind of give you some guidance and resources that can kind of get you in the right direction. And if you have any other recommendations, if you want to see, or if you want to speak at one of our charlas, feel free, contact me. My email is cynthia@cscyakima.com, or you can give me a call at 509-225-9921. That's what it's about, is just building our community together, connecting with our local small businesses, helping each other out, grow. I mean, because that's what makes the economy a success, is the small businesses, you know, helping, giving resources, providing those resources that you guys need. And that's why we're here, is to give you that information and educational tools that you need to succeed in business. So if you guys feel that you would like to speak, or you guys can give some great information to our local businesses, feel free, reach out. That's why we're here. And if you have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat box, or we are live as well. So feel free to just ask your question in the comments below. And then in the interim, if something comes up, you can speak, you can just type in the question, either way. And if you're too embarrassed or you don't want to come on, feel free to open the chat. But I believe we kind of did a little introduction for Tracy. She's phenomenal. I just love her. She's great at what she does, and she's been doing this for a long time. And like I mentioned, she gave a great introduction. If you have any questions, feel free, drop it in the chat below. And I'll let Tracy take it over.
Thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
I was going to say, we're echoing a little bit here in the office. I'll be having the chat box open. So yes, if you don't feel comfortable going on camera or speaking, I also have a chat box open. I'll have it watching it the whole time. Don't feel that you have to wait to the end. I'd be more than happy to answer questions as we go through this. The biggest thing I want to start with that everybody's been coming is the funding. We've had several fundings. We've had the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection, and then of course there was an SBA grant that some of you may have missed. It came out early in March and it went out fast. That was where you got $1,000 per employee up into $10,000, and that was free. In the middle of March, when that happened, we had the CARES Act that came out, and then we had the Family First come out. So there's just been a lot of federal law changes that I'm trying to bring aware to all the small business owners to really be prepared this year to prepare your tax returns and don't rush to file. Make sure you get all the credits that are available to you and that you don't miss the forgiveness part when you're applying for them. So there was a PowerPoint screen that I think I could put up if I need to. It has my, so I'm going to flip it to my screen so you guys can see the PowerPoint, and I will talk through it. So that way you can also jot down the websites that I'm referring to, and it might be easier than when I'm speaking. So let me share my screen. Share my screen. Oh, I have to be the host.
I'm going to give you access now. Give me 1 second. Okay. You should be able to share your screen now.
Okay. Let's see. All right. Did it come up? Okay. Sure. Okay. Can you guys see it? Oh, not quite. Technology. It's a learning process, right? Is it coming now?
Yeah, now I can see it.
All right. The important of this is, one, it's my PIM, it's basically my topics, but two, I really want you to be able, sometimes when I'm taking Zoom education classes, I do quick screenshots and paste it over so I can use them as a quick reference, or you can also write them down. And I also know that these will be available when we're done. So the Secure of Washington, of course, is for the state of Washington. That's where you're going to find all your findings for your LNI, your EMNS, not so much the PPP and federal. So that is state and Department of Revenue. What I'm going to try and focus on this first is our federal funding, which is the big talk, the SBA grant. Those of you who got it, that $10,000, that's tax-free for each employee that you were hired at the time. That is income to the business. So be sure you guys claim it as income. The second big item out there was the paycheck protection. When it first came out, it was only eligible for those who had a payroll. At the end, back in May, they changed it and self-employed could apply for this payroll protection loan. And it was based off their 2019 adjusted gross income. This was a very popular loan because this was forgiven if requirements were followed based on your loan. When you took it, there was requirements you had to follow. The other loan that's still available, so your payroll protection you can't get anymore, that's gone. But the injury disaster loan, you can still get. That's still available and that's paid back, and you're available to use that towards your business needs if you're still not making it. So that's there to help you.
Tracy,
Yes.
before you move on to another slide, this is Lena, and I have well, first of all, nobody introduced the group that's here, but Tracy walks on water, and it's because her dad has done taxes for me when Tracy was probably in college or high school. I don't know. Anyway, she's a wealth of knowledge, so I encourage people to seek her out for services. But my question, going back to the PPP loan, and I know that you said that they were not available anymore, but what I noticed when those first rolled out, that the rules changed in what felt was almost daily on that particular plan or program. For those folks that were like got in quickly and then the rules changed, did they grandfather them, or did it say by the end of the rollout, everyone's going to go by, these are the rules?
So grandfathered in is, they're not stuck in, they are allowed to pick the 8-week or the 24-week. The one that I think, when I think of grandfathered in, was the payback, if it's not forgiven. So if you applied early on, the payback period is not as long as if you got it later. I hear that they're working on making them the same, but I haven't heard a resolution that it's been settled that the early receivers get the same payback as the future. And that may come back later down the road. And you're right, Lena, on your question is, when this PPP came out, it was daily. It was so hard for individuals to determine whether to go for that loan, because some of them didn't want to pay it back. Some were forgiven. A lot of self-employees didn't know if they were eligible for it. They didn't know how much. I mean, and they were changing, and fortunate, there's still changes today on the forgiveness. We just got an update 2 weeks ago on a new process for forgiveness. And there's still changes on how to process them through your lender. They're still changing. So it's really a program to pay attention to.
Right. So I know there's a client that their tax advisor, we will be doing 2 returns for them because of the change that they said that Congress is, they're going to go to the Supreme Court based on the being able the purchases of, let's say, equipment. There was something about we're going to allow you to take this tap into this program, but you can't deduct your expenses, because then that's kind of like double dipping or something like that. So the CPA said, well, I'm going to do 2 tax returns, because what I'm going to do is because it could be at the Supreme Court for years, and the 3-year look back period it's expired. So if he files it, he's doing like a protective return. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you could do a protective file, which means it extends the life of the tax return so it doesn't expire in 3 years, and that extends that period of tax return. And that is very good idea. And those to clarify, and I think this is where you were going, Lena, was it was going back and forth. The money that's forgiven, it's heavily weighted on payroll expenses. And what happened was they were trying to determine, because the money would be forgiven or it was free money, you couldn't deduct the expenses that went through that loan, which I don't know if that was the original intent, of the federal, but, what the accountants are sitting here going, and when he said 2 returns, you're absolutely right. We're going to run it with the deduction. Do you run it without allowed? Because there's no permanent ruling on that loan. We're sitting here coming to the end of the year, and there may not be, answers for us to guide individuals on what's legit.
Well, and I think that's important for people to know, because let's say that once they finally get the ruling beyond the 3 years or whenever they decide, and they could have deducted it, in 2020, but now it's too late. You've got that protective return that said, we did this just in case. It might have cost the company a little bit extra money to have that second filing done, but it gave them, no expiration date on being able to deduct those things that were still kind of up in the air for 2020.
Yes, and I agree. And I think that in my mind is cost sometimes should not always be your basis. It should be what's going to be the long-term benefit. And this is such a huge deduction or inclusion of income, depending on, which way the courts go, that it has a huge fluctuation on tax liability for businesses in these tough times.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's what I needed clarification on. So I appreciate that. You can,
No, don't
I won't interrupt anymore.
no, those are good. No, I still want you guys definitely to answer questions. This is, first look, first education for me, virtual. So this is new to me. I'm not ready to leave actually payroll protection. So you've led into not only the federal side, but I also want to do on the forgiveness side. It is so important that individuals know you've got to apply for forgiveness. It is not going to be automatically forgiven. And there's now 3 different forms. And again, the second one just came out 2 weeks ago. I used the one that recently came out, which was the 3508S. It is not on my slides because it came out, like I said, just a few weeks ago, and my slides are already out of date. If you have less than 50,000 in a PPP loan, it's an amazing, great form to use. I've used it on one that has a payroll, and I've used it on a self-employment individual. And both of the forms was quick and easy. The most important is be sure you guys read the instructions and include the documentation required behind that PPP so that the package is completed. So when SBA reviews these, that it'll go through forgiveness. And the instructions I thought were pretty well worded compared to Congress law. So I think an individual could, read through it and get the documents together. If not, the lenders I've heard have been amazing. Those lenders who have given out these PPPs have been helping also individuals on getting these done. The other big thing is on the applications. It does say 10/31/2020. SBA has extended that to the end of the year. So you have to have that forgiveness paperwork together and done before December 31st, 2020. Again, that's tentatively is what has been filed to current. It's always important in any education, whether it be state or federal education, that you always read up on the most current, especially on things like this, as they do change very, very quickly. On my slide, just a reminder, the SBA is could be forgiven. The PPP is possible if you submit your application timely, and that the economic disaster loan has helped a lot of my restaurants that still aren't supportive. They were very thankful for it. It's keeping them afloat. And part of that's not forgiven. I put the 10,000. So that 10,000 that individuals got was part of the grouping of the EIDL that was advanced out. So before I leave the SBA and the PPP and the EIDL loan, is there any other clarifications or questions that I need to go over or you guys want to know before I move on to the next slide? No? Okay. On this slide, I just wanted to bring aware of, can you see it? No. The CARES Act HR 748 didn't come up? No. Oh.
I'm going to present it with you. I'm going to present it now. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay, go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. Oh. Came up? Okay. Yep. The reason why I want to share these acts is at times people get a lot of
Tracy,
benefit. Oh, sorry.
Maybe you can put it into the presentation mode. That way it could go larger so we could see it.
Yes.
Right at the top. Right in the left-hand corner where it has play. Left-hand corner.
Right here where it says view, Tracy. View the menu, help, my help.
There's like a little play symbol icon.
Oh no, move the box where Cynthia's at. You move that box that's underneath there.
No. I'm not techie savvy.
It's okay.
It's a good thing I have techies here.
Yes.
There's some right there.
Is it going? Perfect. Yes.
Magic.
Thank you. Now we can see it.
Yay. Okay, so you guys were able to see the PPP?
Yeah.
What I was talking about, all the changes. Okay, so I wanted to bring up the CARES Act. I
So
know-
go ahead and, sorry for interrupting. So go ahead and go back to the last slide, Tracy.
Yep.
So the ones you just went over the ones that were forgivable, right? So, and then the EIDL is not forgivable?
That's correct. The
Okay.
EIDL, the Economic Disaster Loan, is not forgivable.
Okay.
And you have, it's a 30 years on that, and it's the
Okay.
rate of 3.75. On that EIDLL, I heard the money comes really fast. At least it did for the few people that had received it. They applied and the lenders submitted their money right into their account. So it's been good. It sounds like the SBA is still out there helping small business owners trying to stay afloat.
Okay. And then the EIDL advance, that is forgivable.
Yes, that was the 10,000 max, which was 1,000 per employee. If
Okay.
you had employees. Remember, an employee is a W-2 wage earner. And even though us as self-employed 1099s consider us an employee to our own business, we don't count as the $1,000 per employee.
Okay. Okay. And then the PPP?
That the PPP is forgiven if an application is submitted and the requirements are met.
Okay.
That's where there was 60% had to be spent on payroll and 40% on everything else. And on the application, you must work through it to make sure that you have spent your money accordingly.
Okay. Got it. Okay. You can go to the next slide.
So in March, with all the SBA funding coming through, there was also some major acts that came through. There was the CARES Act, and I wanted to bring that up so people kind of understood what the CARES Act did for individuals. That's where the paycheck protection first came out for the 8 weeks. And those were the ones that Lena kind of brought up about the different rules. So those rules are different for those that when it was extended to the 24 week. So there's different rules coming through on that. That's also what activated the 39 week for the employee unemployment for the $600. And that's where a lot of us hopefully got stimulus. What I want to bring to people is not to panic if you either didn't get it or you didn't get the right amount. It will be corrected when you file your 2020 tax return. At that time, we are to basically, I call it reconciliation, but basically what did you receive and what should you have received? And then the difference will be applied through the return at that time. We're also told early on it was paid back. That also has changed. And now even if they overgave the money, the funding, it's not to be paid back. It's just a reconciliation, making sure everybody got the credit was entitled to. The other thing we're trying to get word out is the IRS has been posting if those individuals that were not required to file a tax return, the opening, it's in November, and I was going to refer the date, but to request your stimulus payment through the IRS website if you weren't required to file a tax return. And they're leaving that open. I know it goes into November. I just can't remember that date. The other thing that the CARES Act helped individuals with the coronavirus is they were able to take money up out of an IRA. If you're a 59 and a half, there was no penalty. So that was to help get some extra funds out there. But again, there was also qualifications there so that you don't get that penalty. The RMD, you know, that you didn't have to do the requirement there. The biggest thing I'm trying to get out to individuals, I know this is a business also, is if you give $300 to a 501(c), you're going to be allowed to deduct that on the front of your 1040. Does it save it a lot? No, it's not a big savings, but it helps those nonprofits continue to, operate, and $300 is a nice gesture, and they're allowing that as a front deduction. So if you don't own a home and you never itemize, this is a nice little, hey, I'll give you, some charity money and I can deduct it on my 2020 tax return. Then there's some credits that flow into the 941. For those employers and companies that have to file a 941, they may have known if you filed first quarter, has changed to second quarter, and then it changed again in third quarter. So as CARES Act forms, rules, or regulations continue to change, it's just a challenging year if you're going to be any kind of accountant, tax preparer. It's just going to be a really struggling really rough year. I'm not expecting any of us to know it all for sure. We'll be doing a lot of reading, a lot of research, and I won't be surprised if we do a lot of business extensions. At least I know I will, if I don't have all the credits available just to do a good job for everybody. There was just a lot of great credits that could qualify for each individual, because each individual and each business is going to be different. You can't treat anybody the same. Everybody's going to have different credits. So on the CARES Act, I kind of just noted, the 50% of wages, if you retain them, you can delay your EFT payments. And then the great thing also in CARES Act, if you have a business and you had some operating losses, you were able to actually carry back. What does that mean? You're able to carry back where before in 18 you couldn't. They eliminated it. You could only carry losses forward, and that was limited to 80%. Well, the great thing about CARES Act that came out in March, because of this COVID, people were able to carry back and get some funding from the return and then go forward. And again, these are all definitely things you want to work with your tax preparer. You want to work with, who's operating your accountant to work through your business to see what's best for you. This is, again, is just information that's been coming through and keeping up the best we can with the laws. And then, of course, your depreciation. So the CARES Act offered a lot of benefits to payroll, individuals, and then businesses, and into the future, depending on where you come in on your business. Any questions on the CARE Act that I can assist on that?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Sorry. So you said at the end, you said your CARES Act was offered as an individual or as a business?
Yes.
How is that? How do I know if I was given my CARES grant as a business or as an individual?
Okay. So as an individual would be your stimulus. So your stimulus would be towards your individual. And if you were a business, you would see it through your 941 credits if you're filing payroll. So those would be the two different credits that would be available to you. If you're an employer or self-employed, you have your 941. If you're an individual, you received a stimulus payment based on how you filed, right? Mary, filing jointly or single.
But just directly correlating to CARES Act, it would just be the you said, what was it called? The 941?
Yeah, 941 is
Okay.
the business one. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Uh-huh. And, you guys can still see my screen, right?
No.
Oh,
No, you can reshare.
I reshared each time. Okay. Page up. I made it big. Hold on. Uh-oh. Techie is not my. Uh-oh. I lost my Zoom. Share screen. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to put you back on the screen. It's just slow. I think it's the internet. Can you guys see it? And it must reset each time. You guys are good, right? Thumbs up?
Yes, I can see it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. The other act that came out also in March was the Family First. Act. And this was the second one that came out. And this was, again, this was extending not only your unemployment, but this was also to help those with paid sick time. Opinionated here, I think it was to help employers keep employees probably working so that it would, I'm thinking help maybe light load the unemployment, because I know the unemployment was very, as we all know, some people still haven't gotten their unemployment and they were really, really backed up. So in the second quarter, when this Families First came out, they did the Paid Sick Leave Act that was available for employees to be paid out through the employer. And this is where more credits came out on the 941, which caused the new 941 regarding the tax credits. The hindsight on it is it's important to read the instructions because a lot of tax credits are not available. Now I was bragging how good it was in the last bill, and then you get into this bill and the instructions. And unfortunate, if you got the PPP funding or other special funding, a lot of the credits aren't eligible for. So when you're filling out your 941, I would recommend definitely reading the instructions and reviewing to see what you're really eligible for so that you don't miss that credit. If you find out you were eligible and you didn't file, you're allowed to do an amendment for the second quarter and refund the funds back. The other thing is third quarter changed, and third, you can withhold the employer their Social Security and Medicare. You can defer your payment into the new year. So there's some good helpful credits. Before you do any of these credits, especially deferring employer credits, again, it's important to work with your accountant, work with who does your taxes, your 941s. You don't want individuals being behind on their 941. And remember, it's just a deferral. It is not forgiven. So eventually you would have to pay those funds back. Again, this is as the rules have been written. So that was the Family First CORES Act that came through on the 6201. Any questions, concerns, or thoughts on that one?
I don't. And if you guys either or that are on live or that are not even in the Zoom, if you guys have questions, type them in the comments, and then I can read them, and then we can ask Tracy your questions. But if you guys have any other questions and you don't want to chime on in now, email us or just message me your contact info and then with your questions, and then I can send them over to Tracy.
Yes.
And again, my email is cynthia@cscyakima.com.
Yes, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or do any research if I don't know the answer. Again, like I told you, there's a lot of regulations and rules that are undetermined and unfinished and still unknown. So it's been quite the year for us. I wanted to go ahead and show you the second quarter. And again, this has changed for third quarter, but just to show you how many credits have become available. It's no longer a 2-page, quick, easy for employers when they do their 941 for payroll. It is now a 3.5, almost 4 pages long. And again, it's just a lot of credits. So just be sure you read through it to see which credits you do or could qualify for and grab the ones that you're eligible for. And again, use the 941 instructions to help you out. So they're in English. The great thing is, many of you may or may not know, the IRS not only has this in English, they have it in a variety of different languages. And so as we're trying to help the barrier, I also included the Spanish language on the 941 just to show you that it's available for those for easier interpretation of the credits. They do offer the due languages and various types of languages on the form. At the very end, I wanted to make sure that we talked about secured access. The state of Washington, the Department of Revenue, some of my business individuals confuse the Department of Revenue with the IRS on payments. The Department of Revenue is where you report your sales with the business and occupation and to return or give in your sales tax that you've collected for the state of Washington. So, and the IRS is strictly federal. And then you also have the L&I website to pay on your hours worked, and then your employment security. And then I gave you the IRS website, which all the websites have a great references. And the great thing about it when you do go out there is you can subscribe to their newsletters or changes, and it keeps you posted on the events as things happen, which is very helpful, especially here in the state of Washington. They're always also sending out information there.
And if you guys just feel like it's kind of overwhelming, because I know it can be overwhelming for some people, because it's just like you're bombarded with so much information, give us a call. We can help you out. We can guide you in the right direction. We can assist you. That's why we're here. So.
Yes, for sure. One thing I love to tell my business owners is your job is to run the business what you love to do and not know everything. You don't have to know all the laws. You don't have to know how to get the resources. And that's why we're all each specialize in what we do. I love what I do. I love just, doing the numbers and the research of law. And if I had to go in a restaurant and cook, you probably wouldn't have a business. It wouldn't be open. So I love to keep you guys out in the field doing what you love, while I sit and help educate the numbers and bring updates the best I can do with my information, research, and knowledge. The end I left open for questions. And again, just a huge disclaimer I have at the end that this is really just information, read, that I've updated. I always recommend my individuals, please reach out to your, whoever you use for your tax preparer, your consultant, just, for more information, because these are just my interpretation of the law.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm in my going into my second year of business now. So I've already filed once. I filed the first year on my own, with how to file for dummies. And now that my business is grown and I know that I'm coming to I'm going to be in a position where I do need an accountant, what can you recommend as far as like the first steps to take to finding and researching and figuring out how to look for an accountant? Because I know there's one of my really good friends, she works for Moss Adams, but she only does like big business accounts. So when she tries to help me, it's not very helpful, because all the things and credits that she knows about and all the tax regulations she knows about, they don't correlate to like small businesses. So do you have any advice or help in that regard?
Kayla, Tracy works with small businesses as well, so that's another one.
Yeah, in the general though, the most important I tell people is, number one, you got to feel super comfortable with them, right? Whoever's going to prepare or get to know your financials, you got to be comfortable with them when you're interviewing them, get to know them as a person and understand financials. Go ahead.
What kind of questions should you be asking? Because, if it wasn't for CSC and the relationship that I've established with them, I wouldn't have known to apply for a CARES grant. I wouldn't have known to apply for an SBA loan. I wouldn't have even known where the resources were had it not been for them and their knowledge. So like when I am researching for an accountant, what types of questions should I be asking?
Those are super good questions. And I'll give you a few, because this is what I would do if I was interviewing someone, being in the field for this long and getting feedback, just what you're saying. Some of the things, will they sit and teach you? So meaning, will they teach you what you can do to help, for your business? For example, what should I be deducting? What should I be tracking? What do I watch for? Should I be monitoring my income, and how should I? So down to a small business owner, you're the only one that's the driver on that. And if the individual can work with you, you know, and talk to you, because as a business owner, you're the lead. You are the lead to go out there, make the money, do what you love. How can you find someone to do the busy part, the numbers? When you go in and you sit with anybody you want and you get to be the interviewer, start with a small conversation. You know, get them to know them as a person. You know, see if the person matches. Then say, hey, like you just told me, I have a small business. What can I, in my business, what benefits do I look for? Because those are the first things when people walk into me. What business am I looking for? The second thing when people walk into me, they don't know they should be tracking their income. So the first thing I say, do you track your income monthly to report to the state? Do you track quarterly? Again, they should be guiding you and getting to know you as your business so that they can teach you what you need to be doing. As a preparer on our side, we're going to do a good job, but we can only do a good job if we do a good interview questions for the individual sitting across the table, because each one of you business owners are going to be different. And if you can get that nice relationship, you're looking for that. You're looking for someone who's small business oriented. Moss Adams is a great corporation, and I don't know if they do a lot of big or small. You've got a friend there, you had said. But you're right, but there could be someone in there, may not be your friend, that does focus on small business and does do that, you know, that learning and teaching. You know, each firm is different, and I don't know all the firms out there, but you know, they could have definitely people who work with small business owners, because small businesses is where, you know, needs the help. We don't want someone to come in with I call it a profit and loss or a handwritten spreadsheet, which you can, and not ask any questions. If you go into somebody and you just give them all your income and all your expenses and you hand them a piece of paper and they don't ask you any more questions or any guidance, then that's not the one for you. A lot of you're not to know all these laws. You got to know who's going to sit down and talk you through it. You know, I had one person says, I didn't know I should be, you know, tracking my income, and now I owe all this money. I don't like surprises, and small business owners don't like businesses. So how can we teach the small business owners to know just the basics of their business financially so they don't have surprises at the end of the year? So that's what you'd be looking at as an individual, is one-on-one conversation and asking, what can you do for my business? What are some tax savings I look for? What should I be tracking? What do I need to be aware of? And in the future, you know, as my business grows, what do I need to do? And I would have those conversations.
I think one of the biggest things I struggled with in the first year was not hiring an employee. And then when all of Corona hit, you know, every grant available was for people with employees. So I automatically was, you know, I wasn't able to qualify for any of the loans. So that was like one of the biggest things that I struggled with, was because it was like, okay, do I 1099 somebody, or do I, you know, put them on as a W-2? And had I had guidance at the time of the crisis, or, you know, I mean, nobody knew that there was going to be a crisis, but had I had some type of guidance, that, you know, I might have been in a different situation. But.
And that's another thing too, to ask whoever you pick is, are you available, you know, 7 days a week outside of tax season? I serve 400 people, over 400. And I'm hoping my small businesses, I had a huge handful reach out to me, and I was posting them. For example, you mentioned funding. The PPP was not available for small business owners. You're absolutely right. That's the way it was written, right? It was mainly for employees. But late in May, was it May or June 8th? I have those 2 days for some reason in my head. But anyways, it switched it to small employees. I immediately, all those small business owners who had no employees, who had reached out to me for funding, I sent I call it a massive text. PPP is available for you. Share it with your friends, get it out, because it's so massive. How do you get it out fast enough? So find somebody, make sure that will reach out to you, and you can reach out to them anytime. Because like I said, I had so many that for me to reach everybody during that crisis, and I'm trying to also read and keep up on law, it was more stressful than tax season. It was just March was a stressful year, I think, for everybody, closed people down quickly, no warning. Some people got funding, my poor self-employments, and you guys didn't get unemployment either, right? So you're really hung out to dry. So it was tough, and unemployment came out late too for you guys, and you had to apply late. And so once it was open, again, those who reached out to me, I quickly said, share this with anybody small businesses are struggling. Get this message out, unemployment's available for self-employees now. But make sure you get somebody who, will share that information to you, and it may not be right away. You can only read so much. And I think Lena nailed it at the very, very beginning. There was so many changes daily that not only are you trying to keep up with taxes, as they were also changing and extending, right? You had all this funding changing coming out, and you're just like, I don't know if I'm keeping up with this. You're just, your mind is just twisting. It was a tough year in March. And I think that's why they extended a lot of the funding for small business owners. Yeah, and if I would have known, I would have definitely reached out saying, hey, August 8th, you can now apply. Because I did have a couple who didn't get PPE either. They closed it, and then they reopened it 2 or 3 days later. So there was a lot of, extended funding, but it was touch and go. It was tough. It was a tough year.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for the questions and the information.
I just have one, just quick, simple question, because I know we're running out of time here. When you said, they closed it and then they reopened it, what I heard from a few folks was that I called my bank and they've just run out of money. What does that mean? I know that they meant PPP money, but what do you mean they just ran out of money? Is it just each bank was allocated a certain amount, or what did that mean? It's a dumb question, but I was curious.
No, those are good questions. So this is, again, interpretation, and I'm going to look at it both angles. It's federal funded. So the federal, as you know, always gives out so much money or allots so much money. Just like, remember when you say we ran out of money on that SBA grant, which was $10,000 for your employees. So they funded so much and then it ran out. Basically, the federal said, I'm going to fund this much and that's it. On the PPP, you're right, it opened and closed. It could be a mixed. I don't know. I'm not a bank. I don't know if the banks asked for so much limits. Did the SBA have a limit that was federally given to them that they could disperse out under that program? And then they closed it. And when the COVID got not extended, we kept going, was an opening or phases drawn out, more funding was allotted through them, through the bills in Congress, given more funding open. Because I want to say, I remember 2 or 3 times at SBA, okay, this is our last day. Oh, it's been extended. Okay, this is our last day, right? It extended. So it was definitely a roller coaster. So when I say ran out of money, I don't think they like us out of our wallet ran out of money. I think it's was the funding allowed, both whether it be from the lender to federally on the SBA, how much they were allowed to give out. So that's what I think what they meant when they ran out of funding on that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I don't even know.
Those are some great questions.
Mm-hmm.
Really good questions. If you guys have any other questions, we're just about done wrapping up. If you guys have any other questions, feel free, reach out to us. This time, I kind of want to let everybody introduce themselves. If you want to, you don't have to. But I'm Cynthia Hernandez, and I'm with Centro de Servicios Comunitarios. So what we do is we help small business startups. So we're a business resource center. So whatever you need assistance with, education, knowledge, tools, and if we don't know the answer, we will definitely put you in the direction or guide you to somebody that can give you the answer. And you can visit us on our website, cscyakima.com. or just give us a call. If you're not very tech savvy, we're with that too. And we can show you 509-225-9921. And then anybody else, I mean, you guys met Tracy, she's phenomenal. My team is also online too, if you guys want to introduce yourself. Kayla, if you want to introduce yourself and your business, where you're located, tell us a little bit about your business.
Hi, y'all. I am a small business owner in Yakima. I've been open for a year. We're called Casa Wholesale. We wholesale home goods. I actually was able to start my business with the help and guidance of CSC. So I'm a client of theirs, and I have been for a little bit, for what, like over a year now, I think. I'm located at 101 Butterfield Road, Suite D.
Great. Lena, would you like to
Great.
share?
Congratulations, Kayla. I love seeing women opening up business, and just this week I was blessed to be able to have 4 more businesses open up, and we're here to be able to help, in whatever we can do. We have a great team. Again, you can give us a call at 509-225-9921. Thank you, guys.
Yes, even if you guys feel like you really just don't know where to even begin, we love that, because not everybody knows everything and nobody even knows where to begin, and we will continue to always learn. Like, I really believe in self-education. That is so important. And I feel like if you guys are just lost or you guys just don't know where to go, like, come in, like, you can call us if you don't, or schedule a consultation, whatever works best for you. We want to make you feel as comfortable as possible. And we can kind of guide you in the right direction. That's what we're here for. Like, don't be scared. No question is a dumb question. I believe we're all here to succeed and just take one step at a time, and that's why we're here to help. So feel free, reach out to us. Even if you have an idea or have a plan that you want to do, or set up a business plan, or you have an invention of things or something, just give us a call. That's why we're here. So Lena, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about?
I think most people on this call know me, but I just wanted to be part of this call because I think there's always a lot to learn when it comes to taxes and small businesses, especially because it's always changing, not just because of COVID, but because they just change every year. And I don't profess to be an expert. And I, like Tracy said, if you asked her to go into a restaurant and be the cook, she's not going to tell you how to cook. And I've learned that with just meeting with the state planning attorneys and CPAs earlier this week, where they know what they know and I know what I know. And so we don't all have to be the expert on everything. And so when we continue to have these kinds of conversations and be able to like gather names of people that do what Tracy does or do, what CSC does, so then we can say, you know what, I don't know that, but I do know the people that do that kind of work. And so I think it's definitely a good idea to continue these kinds of conversations, especially around taxes and tax time. And it seems like we've been in tax time all year. Does it feel like that, Tracy? Because I'm always pushing it to the very end. So yeah, it feels like it's been tax time year round, and she's going to get like a 2-week break, and then it's tax time again for her.
Yes, this was definitely a year of non-stop tax year. I also think these are great, not only for tax and federal updates, but also as a resource. So if individuals know people either need things or information, we can also be in contact with, new small business owners when they share what they do or what they have to offer. And, we come across people who are looking for that kind of service or want that, stuff, we could actually refer people out too. So I think it's also a good research and a good outreach program here.
Great. So that should wrap up everything. Like mentioned, if you guys feel like you guys like to talk on our next charlas, or if you have any ideas, that's what it's for, is just kind of to exchange ideas, network with other experts in their in their industry or whatever it may be, just to share ideas, just to gain more knowledge on how we can succeed in our business. That's what this is about. So if you want to be a participant, or you would like to speak, or you would like to attend, reach out to us. That's what we're here for. Visit our website, cseyakima.com, or give us a call, 509-225-9921. And then our next charlas is going to be November 18th, same time, 4 p.m. Send us an email, give us a call so we can send you details, but keep a lookout. The event info should come out, or it should be out already, or just give me a call for details and I can send it over to you. Thank you for joining, and everybody have a great day. And we'll talk soon. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
I want to correct that real quick. The next charla is October 27th, I think.
Okay.
Okay, I gotta go.
Yeah, but
Okay. So
go
the
to our
next
website.
podcast is October 27th.
I think that's the day. Yes, at 4 o'clock. But
Okay.
reach out to us. We'll send you the link. Put your email address, and we're here for you. Thank you.
Yes, that's going to be a good one. October 27th. Now that Yakima moved into phase 2, we're going to have some really good information.
From
Come
the
on.
Department of Health, from the
Yeah, come on to the
medical
next
clinic. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.